Coming up on Chapman News, the horrors of war, what the Russians left behind.
And history made, the first black woman on the Supreme Court.
In one of the most dramatic comebacks in sports history, Tiger Woods returns to the Masters, despite an accident that almost cost him his life. That and more on this edition of Chapman News.
From Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of Chapman News. I'm Claire Weber.
And I'm Promise Johnson. We begin this morning with breaking news on the war in Ukraine. 50 people are dead after a missile hit a train station in eastern Ukraine. Women and children still waiting to leave the country were using the station as a refuge, and there were about 4,000 civilians in and around the station at the time the missile hit. Photos of the aftermath show the remnants of a rocket painted with the words, "For the children," in Russian. The Russian Defense Military denied the attack, while Ukraine's President Zelensky, along with other leaders of Ukraine, are accusing the Russian military of deliberately attacking the station where only civilians were. President Zelensky spoke on social media saying, "Not having the strength or courage to confront us on the battlefield, they are cynically destroying the civilian population. This is an evil that knows no bounds. And if it is not punished, it will never stop."
Russia is continuing its push into eastern Ukraine. NATO is warning Ukrainian civilians to evacuate as fast as possible, as Russia's onslaught will likely intensify.
And new sanctions against Russia. As the European Union decides to ban Russian coal, the United States Congress votes to stop all new business in Russia, and the UN removes Russia from its Human Rights Council.
As Russian troops withdrew from key cities like Kyiv this week, the world saw what they left behind. Dead bodies everywhere. The bodies of Ukrainian citizens, many tied up and shot execution style.
Anna Montemore has our report, and a warning. There are some graphic images in her report.
Chilling silence. Abandoned tanks and mass destruction. We live in a time where technology is serving in a way it never has before. Viral videos, photos, and live broadcasts exposing the devastation that Russia has done to Ukraine every day. The roads out of the capital are littered with remains of war, Russian tanks and weapons blown up by Ukrainian troops, buildings reduced to rubble, and bodies everywhere. Journalists continue to recover disturbing sights and are witnessing the growing brutality and injustice. Most recently, the bombing of Bucha, a suburb near Kyiv that has been taken over by Russians for the past 5 weeks. Russian troops have retreated, and the survivors are coming out of hiding. Faced with destruction and discovering executions that look remarkably similar to those from World War II, Richard Engel, an award-winning journalist for NBC News, has been in Ukraine reporting these horrific sights, meeting a woman who even buried her husband after the recent invasion.
The soldiers grabbed Irina's husband, Oleg, and took him out in front of the house.
They make him take his sweater off, then they put him on his knees and shot him in the head. I went on the street and blood was still pumping from his head. I started to shout, "Kill me too," because I have only one husband.
She thinks they killed him to scare others in Bucha into submission.
Journalists are hearing other stories as well. James Longman, a foreign correspondent for ABC News, came upon a town where the mayor had been shot execution style for refusing to cooperate with the Russians.
And authorities have brought us to what looks like the grave, the hastily dug grave of what they say is the family of the local mayor here. They didn't agree to cooperate with the Russians, they say, so they were executed. I'm looking now, I'm not going to turn the camera around, but I am looking now at the bodies of 4 people partially submerged in the sand.
This is not the only mayor being targeted. 11 Ukrainian mayors have been held captive by Russia, one being killed in custody. President Zelensky, after touring Bucha, addressed the Security Council of the UN, basically condemning them for their inaction.
This is genocide. The elimination of the whole nation and the people.
Russia has claimed these attacks have not happened, but the broadcast of mass destruction and devastation speak for itself. I'm Anna Montemore for Chapman News.
In the coming weeks, we will continue to cover what is being unveiled in Ukraine.
The number of refugees fleeing Ukraine has risen to 4.1 million. Many of them have fled their homes with the hopes to return. But is this a reality for them? 2 weeks ago, we met Gia Chacon, a refugee aid worker who has worked all over the world. Today, she is in Poland. Her sister, Sophia Chacon, has more. Sophia?
Thanks, Promise. There are now 2.5 million refugees in Poland. My sister Gia spoke with me about the refugees she had met in Poland. She was impressed by how brave and determined they were about returning to their homeland in Ukraine.
They won't say, oh, I'm a refugee, I've been forced to flee my country. They will say, I am living in Poland because of the war in Ukraine, and I will return to my country eventually. So you can see that they're determined that they will return back to their country, and they have hope to see their lives go back to normal.
My sister makes an important note. She says the majority of these people are middle class and upper middle class.
So to leave everything that they had behind, and now to not only be a refugee, but have to beg for things, but have to accept things from other people, to not be able to work is very shameful for them.
In addition to the uncertainty of their lives, they are also waiting for word of their relatives left behind, and sometimes that news is heartbreaking.
While a gentleman was sharing his story, somebody called him in the middle of his presentation and gave him the news that one of his close friends had been killed in action in the war in Ukraine. A young man who had a new family, who had just been married only a few years, was killed during our conference while this other man from Ukraine was sharing his story.
My sister was able to befriend many young women and children who had fled the Ukraine. She says they told her their husbands, sons, and brothers were forced to stay and fight in the war, and many of their elderly loved ones refused to leave the Ukraine. Despite meeting so many people, they are reluctant to open up to her about their trauma.
I was able to speak with many young women, and, to be honest, they didn't really want to speak about what happened, but you can see in their eyes how traumatized they are.
Despite all they're going through, escaping from their homeland to a new country, the refugees told my sister how welcome the Poles made them feel, how there was help everywhere. I'm Sophia Chacon, back to you at the desk.
A historic day for our country. Ketanji Brown Jackson was confirmed by the Senate as the new Supreme Court Justice. This morning, a reception for Jackson on the South Lawn of the White House, hosted by the president and is attended by a who's who in the nation's capital. Jackson won't be officially sworn in until April. Caroline Applegate has more on our new Supreme Court Justice.
The Senate gavels in this morning for a joyous, momentous, groundbreaking day. This morning, we will vote to end debate on the nomination of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to be a justice on the United States Supreme Court.
And yesterday, the Senate did just that. The vote on Supreme Court Justice nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson remained as a stalemate during the majority of the hearings, lasting over 2 weeks. This week, however, the decision turned in Jackson's favor after 3 Republican senators, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Mitt Romney, announced their support for the nominee. Vice President Kamala Harris announced the results of the vote to the Senate.
On this vote, the yeas are 53, the nays are 47, and this nomination is confirmed.
Of the 115 Supreme Court justices that have come before this nomination, only 2 were Black men, 4 were women, and 1 was a Latina woman. Jackson has made history as the first ever African-American woman to be confirmed as a justice to the country's highest court. President Joe Biden announced his support for the nominee on Twitter, saying, "We've taken another step toward making our highest court reflect the diversity of America." Jackson had heavy opposition, some claiming she has been inappropriately lenient in past criminal cases, including those of child pornography. Senator Ted Cruz believes she will be the furthest left of any justice to have served on the Supreme Court.
I think we can anticipate that she will vote consistently to undermine the constitutional rights of Americans, to undermine our rights to free speech, to undermine our rights to religious liberty, to undermine our rights under the Second Amendment to keep and bear arms.
Jackson will join the Supreme Court with vast experience as she began studying law at a young age, eventually graduating from Harvard and receiving her Doctor of Law degree from Harvard Law. Though she does not change the 6-3 conservative majority, she will bring a new perspective as the Supreme Court's first ever public defender.
Congratulations.
This is Caroline Applegate reporting.
Ryan Deeb is here with the rest of our political report. Ryan?
Thanks, Claire. One of the great political figures of the last decade is back in politics since running for vice president with John McCain in 2016. Former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin is now running for Alaska's open house seat. Palin is facing a lot of opposition and is not favored to win against the 50 other candidates in the running. However, she has the endorsement of Donald Trump, and she surprised us before with her larger-than-life personality. Palin herself says she's not worried.
You know, I would never be so cocky as to say, bring it on. But yes, I anticipate that when I walk down that hall to get my Diet Dr. Pepper, sure, the jackals are going to be there doing their jackling. And I just think, I've got nothing to lose. What more can they do? What more can they say?
But that's not to say there aren't other big names in the running. North Pole City Council member Santa Claus is entering the race, identifying as an independent, progressive, democratic socialist. The Biden administration will potentially lift a public health order that limited immigration in the pandemic. Homeland Security officials are preparing for a potential surge by managing as many as 18,000 encounters at the southern border a day. And on Tuesday, Oklahoma became the latest Republican-led state to impose stricter abortion laws as the Supreme Court battles with potentially overturning Roe v. Wade later this year. Women in Texas were going to Oklahoma for abortions after Texas's stringent laws, but now Republican states are pushing for pro-life legislation. That's all I have for your politics report for this week. I'm Ryan Deeb. Back to you at the desk.
Was it gang-related? We'll have a report from the state capitol.
It's getting hot in here. Summer seems to have come early this year. I'll give you your weather forecast after the break.
Okay.
I'll be seeing you in all of our favorite places with laughter and warm embraces all day through.
I love you too.
With free COVID-19 vaccines, sunnier days are ahead. Visit getvaccineanswers.org.
I'll be seeing you.
Police are investigating a mass shooting that occurred in Sacramento this weekend. I took a deeper look into the details of the story. The largest mass shooting in Sacramento's history happened at 2 a.m. on Sunday. 6 people were killed and 12 injured, with police currently working to figure out exactly what happened. So far, police have stated that there were 5 shooters involved and confirmed that the incident was likely gang-related. At this point, 3 suspects have been taken into custody. DeAndre Martin was taken in on Monday and is the only one who's identified as a potential shooter, and his brother Smiley Martin was taken in on Tuesday. The 3rd suspect detained was Davion Johnson, who was seen carrying a gun immediately after the shooting. All have been detained and are currently waiting to be charged. A vigil was held on Monday to honor those who lost their lives. The families of those who were killed are grieving the loss of their loved ones, still in shock from this event. The investigation is still ongoing as police continue to work tirelessly to solve this case. We're joined now by Madison Wade, an anchor and reporter at ABC 10 in Sacramento. Madison is also a graduate of Dodge College and Chapman News. Thank you for joining us, Madison. You've been covering the shooting since the beginning. Based on the arrests so far, it seems like gang warfare. What can you tell us about that?
Thank you so much for having me. And what I can tell you is, yes, we were hearing some murmurs early on that this might be a gang-related incident. And then yesterday, Sacramento police came forward with new information saying they do believe all indications show that this is some sort of gang-related shooting. They would not tell us which people are part of what gangs, so we don't have that information right now. But we do know there could be up to 5 shooters involved. More than 100 shell casings were found, and some of those innocent victims were truly just caught in the crossfire of a gang-related incident.
Right. So, how long have gangs been a problem in the Sacramento area?
Since this whole shooting happened on Sunday and the aftermath of it, we've been talking at ABC 10 with some experts who tell us that since 1978 or so, gangs started to appear in Sacramento. Of course, you have heard of many of the ones that are very prolific and widespread across our state, but in Sacramento specifically, it seems to be more neighborhood gangs and subset gangs. And again, we don't have the names of which gangs these people belong to as of right now. We'll learn that probably when the court proceedings happen and we'll get to look through court documents. But as of right now, what I can tell you from our experts is around 3,000 validated gang members are in the Sacramento area. And those are people that law enforcement have identified and also know which gangs they belong to. But there's many more who are unvalidated. Approximately 600 to 700 validations happen a year. So it just goes to show the growing amount of a gang-related problem in Sacramento and California as well. There's a significant increase in firearms being used in most of these cases. Also, our law enforcement agencies in this area have been working very hard to make arrests for those illegal firearms, but also to, seize them too and make sure that those guns don't end up on the streets.
We were also wondering if gang behavior has changed. We hear reports that there were hundreds of shots fired. Have the weapons changed?
So in this case, several stolen guns were seized and collected. California has very strict gun laws in terms of who can have a firearm and what kind of firearms can be used. We are still waiting to figure out exactly which firearms were used in this situation, but we do know that several stolen ones were used. Ghost guns are a big topic as well. Those are manufactured guns that are definitely not legal in our state. We've been seeing and reporting on lots of ghost guns being seized by law enforcement and getting those off the streets. And yes, you're right, 100 bullets were flying in that area. That led to 6 people being killed, 12 into the hospital, many others with different injuries. The videos we've seen posted on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube just show a chaotic situation, a very scary situation. And what Sacramento police tell us is several groups of people ended up at the same area, and those groups of people do not belong to the same gang, and so therefore there was a fight, and that's when the gunfire erupted. And so we're still working to get more information on exactly what happened, but many people were caught innocently in a gang-related shooting.
Yeah, and the last thing that we just wanted to ask you is, what is the current mood right now in the Sacramento area?
Yeah, from business owners, from people who are affected by this, obviously sadness, anger, hurt, frustration. Many businesses are just wondering, when things are going to start to feel normal again in and around that area. It's a very popular area for people to go out for an entertainment or a night out. And it's also an area being revitalized. And so a lot of businesses are hurting right now because of this. And they're hoping that in this next several weeks, things will start to pick up. A large memorial has been growing at that exact intersection where this all happened. So many people are stopping to pay their respects. And there's just a lot of people in this community calling for change and wanting accountability when it comes to preventing something like this from happening. So those conversations are ongoing in the community of Sacramento. But I can definitely tell you there's a lot of hurt, anger, and frustration.
Okay, thank you so much for speaking to us, Madison. Investigations continue, and the shooting will continue throughout the weekend. Thank you. Thanks again, Madison, for meeting with us.
Our thoughts are with the Sacramento community. And now, more updates this week on our new COVID strains and masking policies.
We have Haley Montez here with our COVID report. Haley?
Thanks, guys. BA2 is on the rise, making up for about 72% of all new COVID cases in the U.S. Experts say not to worry because the subvariant is not as severe as the original Omicron strain. But things may change with the newest subvariant, Omicron XE. The new variant was found in the UK and combines both BA1 and 2. The World Health Organization says the XE variant is 10% more transmissible than BA2, but experts say it is too soon to worry. The U.S. Transportation Security Administration extended the federal mask mandate for airlines until April 18th, but that isn't the case everywhere. European countries like the United Kingdom, Iceland, and Ireland are ditching masks altogether, and several airlines hope to follow. Major U.S. airlines are requesting President Biden to lift the mask mandate on planes and testing requirements for foreign travelers. With the fourth booster for people over 50 and up, many are still hesitant to get the first. Less than half of U.S. adults have gotten the first booster. The FDA Advisory Committee met earlier this week to discuss the future of boosters. The FDA says it's looking into making boosters for current variants by this fall. That's all for your week's COVID report. Back to you at the desk.
Some Chapman students are being relocated into different classrooms due to health concerns. Unnamed health concerns have driven the university to suspend some art and theater classes within Moulton Hall. The university has hired environmental experts to investigate and says, quote, "The experts feel the risk is low." Many students continue to take classes in this building. Hotter temperatures are showing how climate change is affecting us today. Experts are still looking for the fastest solutions.
Adrienne Mitchell is in the Weather Center with more.
Thanks, ladies. A major UN report says that unless countries drastically accelerate efforts to slash emissions from fossil fuels, it will be unlikely global warming will reach relatively safe levels by the end of this decade. It estimates we need to invest 3 to 6 times what is currently being spent on mitigating climate change. But there is good news. The report finds the prices of clean energy has dropped significantly since 2010. Now on to your weather forecast. Here in Orange, it's hot. At 94 degrees, today is the perfect day to slather on the sunscreen, hit the beach, and enjoy some ice cream. Moving on to our national forecast. Over in the Emerald City, weather could not be more different than here in Orange. You can expect a high of 53 degrees and some rain. In my hometown of San Francisco, the weather is a moderate 69 degrees, but it's heating up in Sin City with a high of 90 degrees. Over in the Mile High City, the high will be a moderate 68 degrees. In the South, where Austin is keeping it weird, it's a warm 80 degrees. The Twin Cities is looking pretty chilly at a high of 43 degrees, and the Windy City is looking similar with a high of 39 degrees and rain to come. The Big Apple and Biden's backyard are sporting a high of low 60s today. Down south to the Big Peach, the high is at a cool 57 degrees. And finally, in the Magic City, it's looking like perfect beach weather at a high of 83 degrees. Now, on for your Orange County forecast. It's pretty hot across the county, with Orange being the hottest with a high of 97 and San Clemente being the coolest with a high of 78 degrees. Westminster, Irvine, and Mission Viejo are all in the 90s today, and Newport Beach and Laguna Beach are in the 80s today. Now onto your Orange 7-day forecast. Today is the hottest day of the week. You can expect it to cool down slightly, with Monday and Tuesday at a high of 70 degrees before it starts warming up, ending on Thursday with a high of 75 degrees. That's all for your 7-day forecast. I'm Adrienne Mitchell with your weather report.
Tiger Woods is back in the game, and an important Anaheim Ducks player is retiring. We'll have the latest on sports.
Oh, well, thank you. Our children and families want us to be healthy. That's why I and lots of other grown-ups got the COVID-19 vaccine, so we can stay healthy and get back to the moments we miss, like seeing our friends and family.
Here you go, Daddy. For a healthy checkup, a sticker.
Oh, thanks, son.
With free COVID-19 vaccines, sunnier days are ahead. Visit getvaccineanswers.org.
Tiger Woods made a highly anticipated return to play in the 2022 Masters Tournament Thursday after surviving a nearly fatal car accident in February of 2021. On February 23rd, Tiger Woods was involved in a single car accident while speeding over 80 miles per hour down Hawthorne Boulevard in Los Angeles. He received severe damage to his legs and had to undergo surgery. Surgeons managed to save Woods' right leg after considering amputation and said he would be lucky to walk again, let alone play golf. Rumors began to fly about whether or not the five-time champion would return to Augusta for his first official event in 17 months. Those rumors were squashed on Thursday as Tiger took his first shot and had this to say after his first day back.
There was no days off. Granted, there were easier days than others. That led me to this opportunity to be able to play in the Masters. And as of right now, I'm only 3 back, so it's going to get interesting. So it's nice to get off to a positive start.
I'm so glad Tiger Woods is playing at the Masters again.
I am too. So Kyle, how is Tiger doing?
Well, thanks for asking. Tiger's actually playing right now in Augusta. He's at on the 5th hole. He is +4 on the day, but which makes him +3 on the tournament. Let's hope he brings it back, as he was only 3 behind the leader this morning. Right now, he's a little far behind, so let's hope he catches it up on the back end today. And now moving on into the world of sports on the greatest world sports show. Kansas secured a victory over North Carolina with the biggest comeback in championship history. Alrighty, back to Kansas. They won the national championship this weekend over North Carolina. It makes their 4th series win in history for Kansas. They were down 25-40 going into the half. Players Remy Martin and David McCormick led the comeback surge, and the Jayhawks were able to pull off the win, giving Kansas their 4th men's basketball title. Big news out of Anaheim this week. After 17 years with the Anaheim Ducks, El Capitan Ryan Getzlaf has announced his retirement. Getzlaf has had an outstanding career with many international victories for Canada and over 1,100.
He'll one-time it and score! And Ryan Getzlaf is going to pick up the point here as it's Getzlaf that makes the cross-ice pass.
That's right, everyone. Ryan Getzlaf, 1,150 games played, 1,013 goals scored. So, Ryan Getzlaf, thank you for everything that you've done for our community. He played in the National Hockey League for over 17 years. He's the all-time Ducks team leader and led the team to the 2007 Stanley Cup playoff season the Orange County residents will not soon forget. Ryan Getzlaf was given the captaincy in 2010 and in the 12 years since has led the Ducks to multiple deep playoff runs. Ryan Getzlaf joins only 11 other players in NHL history to be a captain for over 10 years and to score over 1,000 points with the same team. Getzlaf continues to mentor and inspire the future of the game through his contributions to the local community and his continued support of the Getzlaf and Perry Learn to Skate program. We wish you the best in your future endeavors, Ryan, and thank you for everything you've done for the Orange County community. Speaking of new beginnings, the women's lacrosse team held a 7-2 record until this week. Alex Trepke has the story.
After a 7-game win streak, Chapman lost to the Pomona-Pitzer Sagehens Wednesday night. The Panthers went undefeated during the month of March, winning just under half of their 16-game season.
Junior captain Corinne Valeri said the team worked on endurance and skills in the preseason. Although they lost their first 2 games, the midfielder saw this as a way to motivate her team to work even harder for their wins.
Coming into the win streak, we just kind of wanted to change our mentality about it. Fighting all the way through, 100% on ground balls, we wanted to just come up with the most effort.
Head coach Dan Kirkpatrick prides this program on having close teammate bonds and that this season's team is especially dedicated.
Has worked really hard off the field in the weight room and has taken the time to do those things that you need to be great. And their commitment off the field, and they care about each other, so they want to do well and they want to make sure that they're ready to go at practice, and it shows.
Captain Valeri said that the end of the winning streak may have been what the team needs to refocus on future SCIAC conference games.
Our next games, we just leave it all out in the field. That's our biggest goal, is kind of come to the end of every game knowing that we left everything out there.
The Panthers will face off with the Whittier Poets at home tomorrow. This is Alexis Tripke for Chapman News.
And shout out to all of our Panther athletes. And I'll be watching our men's tennis at 3 p.m. today as they take on Pomona Pitzer here at home. I'm Kyle Carr, and this is the best campus sports show. Back to you at the desk.
This year's Grammy Rodrigo Appreciation Night happened this Sunday. We have the updates after the break. What's up, fellas? Luca Evans here with an entertainment segment that's sure to make you go, hey, I recognize those people. We've got some cringeworthy news on the celeb couple front and, oh yay, a Kanye West update. But first, a huge update in the Oscar slap saga. Just a few minutes ago, news broke that the Academy has banned actor Will Smith from all events, including the Oscars, for 10 years. The announcement comes after a meeting today held to discuss consequences for Smith after he slapped presenter Chris Rock during the 94th Academy Awards. In the statement, the Academy called Smith's behavior unacceptable and harmful. We'll have more coverage of the fallout and Smith's response next week, even if you're tired of it by now. And apparently, the Grammys happened on Sunday. Well, if you didn't hear much about it, don't worry, we've got you covered. First off, Olivia Rodrigo won Best New Artist of the Year to the surprise of absolutely nobody. Imagine your ex winning a Grammy for dissing you. Good for you, Olivia. She sure is looking happy and healthy. Meanwhile, Jon Batiste took home Album of the Year for his work We Are and had an inspiring message for creatives everywhere.
You know, I believe this to my core. There is no best musician, best artist, best dancer, best actor. The creative arts are subjective, and they reach people at a point in their lives when...
Batiste stood as the night's biggest winner, taking home 5 trophies. But he didn't get Best Song of the Year or Best Record. Those honors went to the Silk Sonic duo Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak for their hit debut single, Leave the Door Open. I'm still upset Drake's Way Too Sexy didn't get nominated. Hot Boy Summer will live forever. Now, speaking of forever, dear God, the day has finally arrived. Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker, your resident emo kids putting on way too much PDA in the hallway, are getting hitched. After multiple outlets reported that the couple got married in Vegas over the weekend, Kardashian wrote on Instagram on Wednesday, "Once upon a time in a land far, far away, Las Vegas, at 2 a.m. after an epic night and a little tequila, a queen and her handsome queen ventured out to the only chapel with an Elvis and got married with no license. Practice makes perfect." Hey, Kourtney, Travis, a sloppy Vegas engagement, no longer cool after you turn 40. Hate to break it to you, go have brunch and play bingo or something. And Kourtney's not the only Kardashian affiliate caught up in drama this week. Breaking news, people are angry at Ye. This time it's because he decided to back out of performing at Coachella a little over a week before the festival. EDM group Swedish House Mafia is taking his place. Honestly, might be for the best. He told ex-wife Kim Kardashian, according to media reports, that he was going away to get help. Bailing on the deal left an enormous amount of money on the table, millions and millions of dollars. According to TMZ, the musician was getting paid over $8.5 million for the show. It would be really easy to throw jabs at Kanye here, but mental health is serious, and I'm just hoping this entire Ye, Kardashian, Pete Davidson mess can be a thing of the past. And finally, you know the expression, wrote the book on it? Well, in this case, sports writer Jeff Pearlman literally did. In this case being hit new HBO show Winning Time. But it's safe to say the glory hasn't gone to his head.
All right, trivia question. How many shoes am I wearing right now?
Based on the fact that you're asking me that question, I'll guess none.
Zero. I never wear shoes, right?
Winning Time, a dramatization of the legendary Los Angeles Laker teams of the 1980s, has quickly become one of the most popular shows on HBO Max.
It's showtime.
But it never would have existed without the writing of award-winning author Perlman. It's based on his 2014 book, Showtime.
Kind of surreal. It's still surreal. It's really trippy. I mean, I'm sitting here and I literally have, sitting here on my desk, a ticket from the premiere.
The book and the show tells the story of the evolution of the 80s Lakers into a glitzy basketball empire complete with drugs, sex, and plenty of drama. It boasts an all-star cast featuring John C. Reilly, Sally Field, and newcomers in Hollywood like Quincy Isaiah and Dr. Solomon Hughes, who play the legendary Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Perlman, an author of 9 books and a former advisor to the student newspaper at Chapman, was invited to the first episode premiere a few weeks ago.
Being on this red carpet, and I was like, I'm not walking the carpet. And they're like, you're walking the carpet.
Make no mistake, the show itself is not his vision.
I don't take anything personally. I'm not offended by stuff. I'm not like, why wasn't it more like the book, or why isn't it this? Like, I wrote the book. You paid me for the book. It's yours.
But Perlman is still relishing each episode's release on Sunday nights. He may be teaching a class in sports journalism next year at Chapman, and he's a big advocate for young writers.
You'll always have the best stories at your high school reunion. And I feel like this career has given me amazing stories.
Check out Winning Time on HBO Max and read Jeff's book Showtime while you're at it. I'm Luke Evans, back to you at the desk.
Do you love corgis, Claire?
I sure do.
Well, then this one's for you. Kinsley Roth gives us a closer look at the one and only Corgi Beach Day.
On Saturday, over 1,000 corgis pod onto Dog Beach in Huntington. Corgis and their owners were excited to finally have the event back in person.
It took us 2.5 years, 3 years to get here. Yeah.
I'm in Huntington Beach at the 10th anniversary of the Corgi Beach Day. This event hasn't happened since fall of 2020 due to delays from COVID concerns and the Huntington Beach oil spill, which happened last fall. The theme today is 80s.
The unique theme brought on many extravagant costumes for corgis and their paw friends.
Are you excited to be Superman? Is that her costume?
Yeah, she was super dog and she got super dirty, so we're trying to clean it off.
The day consisted of multiple events, from a costume contest, yoga, musical chairs, to even a corgi butt contest.
Yes, I think it is a very extra event, but I'm glad to be here.
Not only did corgis participate in these events, but some traveled far and wide to simply come play in the sand.
Yeah, we're from Phoenix, so this was a fun little...
Did you do a road trip down here for this? Yeah. Oh, that's great. I know.
Until next year's Corgi Beach Day, I'm Kinsley Rolfe for Chapman News.
Thanks for joining us this week. Be sure to check out our YouTube page at chapmannews.tv and make sure to follow us at Chapman News. I'm Claire Weber.
And I'm Promise Johnson, and we will see you next week with another episode of Chapman News.